It's an interesting one, Elson, because I think of that three-letter acronym, G is the one that is overlooked most, I believe. You know, and rightly so, there's a huge amount of talk about environmental stuff, and we'll come on to that. But ultimately, if you buy really, really good management and good boards of directors, you're gonna be okay. When times are tough, there's a great degree of comfort in that. Now, so if you look at the style of, the SJP Asia portfolio, typically in times of stress, the fund will preserve capital better. In boom times, it doesn't, because people don't really care about the quality of the management or what they're doing to the environment, etc. Now, if I may, I'll give you just a couple of examples around ESG, and I think we would argue that we pride ourselves on our relationships with the companies that we're investing in. It is very much a partnership. Like I said, we've been shareholders for many, many years in some companies, and so often our advice is sought. And again, to use the HDFC Bank example, we had the CEO and the CFO in town. 6-7 years ago, the Indian banks did not consider the environment. They would not consider the impact of their loan portfolio. They wouldn't consider social issues. And our discussion with them recently was around, they said, okay, who does this really well in Asia? Who should we be copying? What sort of things should we be looking at? And the World Wildlife Fund are in Singapore. They've got about 10 or 11 analysts here who do fabulous work analyzing the banks. And we shared this piece of research with the HDFC Bank CEO, who also made an interesting point. They want to be best practice in governance. They want to be best practice on the social aspect, but they don't want to be leaders on the environment, because the first mover advantage may not be the right one. I think companies could make a lot of mistakes in that regard. So that's interesting in terms of how they will improve. And this is a seriously good company that's just going to get better and better. And then the other example I was going to give you is, which we may have talked about in the past, is with our consumer exposure, we have a big problem with plastic pollution. It's at the front of everyone's minds now, thankfully, probably more so in Singapore than perhaps other parts of Asia. But we've introduced a biodegradable plastic packaging company called Polymateria to a number of our investments, and that's going really well. There's some really good take up that I think could be a solution to the problem of plastic that comes out of the recycling loop. So ESG has always been a part of what we do. You could use a different word and just say it just means quality. If you invest in the best companies, you're going to generate probably the best returns, and they're going to see you well through the bad times.